Hi, I'm Marianne Clyde,
And I'm Lorna McGill.
and we're with Isn't She Amazing podcast with our amazing guest, Diane Haworth, the founder of the Be Love Principles. Diane, so glad you're here.
I am, well, we were talking before. I've been so excited to see both of you all. This is a wonderful project that you have. You're doing great work, and I am just honored to be part of it. Thank you for the invitation.
Isn't she nice? She
Yeah.
loves us. She loves us. Imagine that.
How could that not be?
There you go. How do you do? I don't even know how to.
Tutorial after the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, tell me, Diane, the Be Love Principles. Tell me about that. This is your 5th year anniversary celebrating the founding of these.
Yep. I am a spiritual coach, a teacher, an author. And Marianne, I followed you for years and the way that you've lived your life in service. And I had actually been praying for months. Show me how to serve. Show me how to be an instrument of your love. And in a meditation, I was given 4 statements that I came to know as the Be Love Principles. And didn't happen until after I was 60, y'all. So stuff.
Yeah. Look at Diane shining her brightest in her last part of her life. So that's really exciting. So
we'll just say this part, okay?
Okay, this part of your life.
Yeah, last part.
All right. Okay, Diane. So it's like when you're on the way out.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better?
There we go.
So the Be Love Principles you told me are on your bracelet.
Yep. I have these little bracelets that have the Be Love Principles on there. And it's a way to remind me to be love throughout the day. Because even just because you teach this stuff doesn't mean that you remember. And
or that you're not challenged.
Yeah, I mean
because it's always like you know what to do and you can advise people, but you're like, I don't know that I really want to do all that work.
Well, here's the thing. I want to. But do I always remember? And Marianne knows my husband Joe, and I will be having a moment, and he'll go, "Are you being loved?" We all need reminders.
I'll tell you what, Diane doesn't miss it much. No, she's right on top of things. So do you want to tell us what they are? And so teach us how to incorporate them into our lives when those moments happen and you think, no strangling, no smacking. Because Diane's first book was how do you be love when you just want to smack somebody?
Yeah, how to choose love when you just want to slap somebody. So, I mean, I think we can be 2 things at once. We can really know in our heart of hearts, we are divine beings. And we are in our human feels a lot of the time.
Yes.
So one of the things the Be Love Principles do is help marry that, our understanding that we are divine beings. My belief system is that each of us, every single one of us on the planet, has access to what I call inner divine wisdom, which is intelligent, expansive, creative. When we're in that place, then we're making better decisions. We are seeing the world the way that it really is. When we are in our personality, when we're in our feelings, then we don't necessarily work from that place. So the Be Love Principles, which I'll talk about in a second, think of them as a gateway to that divine, inner divine. It is a gateway. It's a way to go from a constrained, constricted energy that usually you get when you are upset, angry, shameful, fearful, overwhelmed, all those things we all know so well. Mm-hmm. And it shifts you to a different perspective. So that's why you use the principles. As I said, there's 4 statements, and I'll tell you those in a sec. I want to let you know that you can actually work with each statement individually or use them as a process. And if we have time, I'll mention that I did a case study and actually have data on how this thing works.
There you go.
Yeah,
I
it's
saw
interesting.
that. It was, what was it, 60%? Clarity increased 60%. Like, what do you think that is? Because that was the one that was like the highest.
Yeah. And you're referring to the results of a case study, 3-month
Yeah.
case study, where people consistently agreed to use the B-Love principles at least 5 out of 7 days. And I think that the sense of clarity increased because they got out of their brain into where the truth is. You know, we tell ourselves, you guys know this, so many stories. And one of the gifts of this stage of life, you like that phrasing, Marianne?
Very good. Very good. Well put.
Yeah, which
Not
I
the
call,
end of our life.
yeah, it's really called, a lot of indigenous people call it the wisdom stage. Because you
It's true.
really get, okay, this stuff is just not important. But we have been programmed to think certain ways culturally in our family, all of that kind of stuff. And the principles help cut through that and get you to the core, the clarity that's really in your heart. And we all have this. We know sometimes in our heart we should really do this thing, but something else comes out of our mouth because we're upset or whatever.
Know it here, not here. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jimmy, should tell you what the principles are?
Yeah. Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. So the very first principle is greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. So before we go further, let's just think about that. What if just for a week, you really worked, you really allowed yourself to greet others, your spouse, your family, the person you meet in the grocery store, the person, on the highway that has just cut you off in traffic. What if you could greet them with an open heart without an agenda, without any preconceived notions of they've got this kind of bumper sticker, so they have to be this kind of person? We don't know any of that. How would your life change if you started greeting people like that? I mean, just that is really amazing. And what I do with my clients is encourage them to look into their own eyes for a week and greet themselves with an open heart without an agenda.
In the mirror.
In the mirror.
Yeah.
Without all those little tapes that we run in our head. How do you do that? Yeah. And when I say we're working with them, to me, you're always going inside and saying, show me, right? Just show me how to do this. Show me how to do this. The intelligence that beats your heart and mind, the one that makes the flowers bloom, the tides come in and out, what grows your fingernails. We don't sit around at night going, go grow fingernails. We just does.
Right.
That intelligence will speak to you in whatever way works for you. So that's the first one. And to me, that's just revolutionary.
Absolutely.
Revolutionary.
Yes.
And the second one is see the divine essence in everyone and everything. Now, what I discovered after years of doing this is that the intelligence that gave me this process was so much smarter than me, because this is, if you're greeting somebody with an open heart without an agenda, that you're already cleaning the slate as best you can.
Yeah.
Then if you're asking to see their divine essence, not their habits, not the nasty remarks that they said across the Thanksgiving table years ago that you can't forget, right? If you are looking at their divine essence, show me the divine essence. And that is opening you up right there to just a completely different way of experiencing yourself and the world.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
really, yeah, it's just, it's absolutely empowering. those two set us up for 3, which is the big one. That's around forgiveness.
Mhm.
And this, everybody's usually pretty cool with 1 and 2. They're like, oh yeah, that's, and then when I get to the other F word, that's when everybody freaks out. Like, whoa, no, 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 no. nah.
Not my
This-
Uncle Joe.
Yeah. When we talk about forgiveness, and you all know this, we're not condoning behavior.
Right.
If someone has done something that needs legal ramifications, then so be it. What we're doing is working with your energy, right? This, when you are holding on to resentment, to regret, to guilt, those are, I don't have to tell you, those are just debilitating. And one of the other gifts at this stage of life is I'm looking down the road and I know I see a lot more road behind me than in front of me.
Ah,
Do I want to drag resentment and grief and guilt another, however long that road is for me? And the answer is I don't. And forgiveness is the way that you are energetically released from that.
mhm.
The principle that I was given was forgive quickly,
Right.
completely, and unconditionally.
Yeah.
So that's easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no big,
No sweat.
no biggie. But actually, when you have been working with the first 2,
Mhm.
even in really extreme traumas, I have found in my clients and students that at least a door will crack open. Like, maybe I'm not ready to forgive this event, but I'm curious about it, what it might feel like to forgive. Just that is a shift.
Mhm.
And of course, we're never going to force anybody to do anything,
Right.
but you guys know the freedom that comes with forgiveness.
Yeah.
So that's the third.
Right,
and the-
because we tend to hold on so strongly to unforgiveness because number one, well, we have every right to feel that way.
Yep.
Number 2, they deserve it, so we're
Oh, that's a
putting
good
it
one.
on them. And then we don't think they deserve what? They're not experiencing any of your hatred, any
And they don't
of your
care.
heaviness, any of the load you're carrying. Yeah, totally, totally. And when you remind yourself that I'm the one carrying the load. I'm the one with
I'm
high
right.
blood pressure. I'm the one with the heart issues. I'm the one with the anxiety. I'm the one with the digestion problem, whatever it is, because that unforgiveness just releases stress hormones and gives you no place to release them until you can breathe out a genuine forgiveness, or like you said, Diane, even a little at a time, because sometimes it's I think it's an event, a decision, but that decision manifested sometimes takes a little while to be fully manifested.
I think being willing helps an awful lot. And I do recognize, and in my own life, I can remember holding on to resentments, thinking it was somehow protecting me. Like, nobody's
Yes.
ever going to do this to me again.
Right.
And the person could even be dead. And it
Mhm.
would still be, nope, nobody's going to do that. So
Yeah.
there is such a freedom. And when you are looking at someone with an open heart, when you're seeing the divine essence, then this forgiveness piece softens, is what I found. It softens.
Mm.
So anytime that door is open, and like you said, we're the one holding on to the resentment is the one that suffers.
Right.
So interesting to me when you look at the work of somebody like a David Hawkins,
Mhm.
that showed, you're using this reptilian part of your brain when you are stuck in shame, guilt, fear. When you go to hope, when you go to courage, those kind of emotions will pop you in the part of the brain where you have more strategic thinking. That's
Right.
where we solve the problems
Right.
that we're all facing in the world. Love is the fuel that is going to bring us to a compassionate, respectful, loving world, the one that we all want to leave our children, the next generations to come.
Mhm.
And these be love principles are just one tool to help us do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Wow.
go ahead. We'll talk more about it and how they play out after you give us number 4.
Yep.
And that way we got the whole package in a wrapped up bow.
Yep. We don't want that last block in the puzzle not to be here, do we?
That's right.
So that last one was the one that was the most startling to me, I think, when I received these in a meditation. And it's remember you never left the light of the all. And to be honest with you, I didn't really understand what that was. I mean, I thought, okay, that looked cool on a t-shirt, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And it wasn't until I started really studying the mystics, the Christian mystics specifically, but other kinds of mystics, and understood that light is a symbol for truth, for knowledge, for all, right? So understanding if we're part of the divine, then we are that light.
Right.
We can choose to operate from that, or we can choose to operate from our personality. And
Right.
you know, I'm all for personality. Who doesn't like nice
Doesn't love a good
personality in your family?
personality.
Yeah, but do we want to be fueled by our fear, or do we want to be fueled by love?
Mhm.
To me, the principles are a way that moves me more consistently into the ability to be presence of love, to be that calm presence that can help hold the conversations that we all need to be having, especially at this stage in our life, because we have the wisdom. We have the wisdom.
Mhm.
It is wonderful and it's energizing to be around people who are younger. It's absolutely fantastic. And we've been there, done that. We have wisdom to share. And the
We
more
do.
calm and the foundation of love that we can use that wisdom to communicate, I think the better.
I think that's so true. And it's such an important concept to know that while love is the strongest force there is, it's also the clearest force there is. And just as you, and I know you teach this stuff too, the more you feed that, or there's a couple ways to look at it, like peeling off the stuff that protects us and keeps us our own prisoner in our own little hole of belief about life, but the truth that lives in us. You need to peel away all the stuff society has taught you, peel away all the stuff well-meaning people have given you to protect yourself with, and then feed it through meditation and prayer and gratitude and non-judgment and all
joy.
those things. Joy, because
And
joy
joy.
is part of that. Joy is part of that light, I think.
I think it is. I think that's what it is, actually. And I didn't necessarily get it to this extent. Well, you know, I had my grandson.
Ah,
And to see the authentic, pure, honest curiosity, acceptance, and to remember, oh, that's what they talk about when in the mystic principles, and also a lot of the psychologists will talk about our original self versus our conditioned self.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
a time in life for us to play. This is a time for us to play and be joyful and do things that are meaningful to us. And why wouldn't you want to do it in love and joy?
I
I've
know.
had decades of fear and guilt. Don't need any more.
But honestly, that's what's going to change the world. You know,
Yes.
we all talk
Right.
about, you know, we all have our Miss America answer, like, what do you want? I want world peace, you know, I want love and peace. But the only way we're going to get that is to start ourselves. And you teach this, Diane, all the time.
Yeah.
It's up to me to be love for me. It's up to you to be love for you. And
Well,
you know,
well, and it's
but then we've got 3 of us that are more loving, and so the energy we emit is.
Right,
a
and all the
loving
people that we
energy.
touch.
Exactly.
I mean, because it all goes to you, and you always hear like you surround yourself, like look at the, the top 5 people that you surround yourself with.
Mhm,
That really tells who you are and what you
mhm,
value. And if we are emitting that and we're that one of those people, we're kind of giving the positive light to people, that the
mhm,
start of that spark.
mhm.
And as you keep sparking people along the way, what could we all do? Marianne and I were talking kind of like this wave of,
Yeah.
women. Like if we're joyful, you have a wave, and I'm like, then it can be a wave, then it's gonna be like a tsunami. Like
Yep.
there's so many of us,
Mhm.
we could do so much good out there
I
Right.
and
think
be happy and be
Wait.
happy.
When
you're right
people
on.
aren't resisting anymore about, I don't hang out with you because you're a different political party or a different religion or a different race or a different, the world is all about dividing so that we feel safe in our little corner. When in fact, I think I think most people, don't you think, would say we're all connected, but on some level,
I would hope so, but
but but the way we operate
It's not that way.
is that, well, we're all connected, but you're in group A and you're in group B, because we have to keep describing and explaining and
there you go.
creating little groups of ways that we can, I don't know, Diane, what
It's
do you think?
connect. It's people
Yeah.
think they're connecting that way, but I really think everybody wants the same thing. I don't
They all
care.
want connection. They all want relationship.
They all want to love and be loved.
Yep.
We want people, places, communities that we love, and we want to be loved. And you're right, that comes from connection. And Lorna, I loved what you said about spreading this way, right? The way that I talk to my clients and my students about it is, to me, you marry into, you birth, or you're birthed into the people who will drive you the craziest. Now, maybe that's just my,
I know.
I don't know.
Why is that, Diane?
But that's
Come
what it
on,
seems
you're
to be.
all this wisdom. Share that with us.
I call it being in the relationship lab. So with my friends, I will be on the phone and I'll say, yep, Joe, that's my husband. Joe and I did a lab experiment this weekend. We were in the
And it
relationship lab.
exploded.
Yeah, and what I try to do is, and it's easier now than it used to be, is once I realize, oh, we're back in the lab, then I can take the event, the situation, him or me, whatever it is, and I can take him
We
through
know
the
it's his
3 love
fault.
principles. Well, duh. Yeah. Yeah, in case you see this, Joe, it's not you. But and of course, what a beautiful learning experience for me, because I happen to believe the world is a mirror of our interior thoughts. So there's something playing out here that I need to look at. And for
Mhm.
me, it's some kind of a forgiveness opportunity.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah.
way, that's the way it works for me. But I agree. Let's get a tsunami going, girls. Let's go to the
Talk
beach.
a little bit more about that, Diane, because I think that's the whole key is we project, we blame, we put our thoughts out there, our negativity, our hatred, our division. We put it out there so that we can be perfectly angelic. I mean, really, really.
All this is going on around me, but I'm fine.
I know, but that person's a real jerk.
That
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. But anytime I think we feel like that you're being an asshole, it's like, when do I do that? When do I feel that? Where's it coming from? It changes the whole paradigm.
It absolutely does. And that's one of the things that principles help me do is, okay, if I'm looking at him and think he's an a-hole, what if I looked at him with an open heart without an agenda? What if I looked for his divine essence? Oh, I can see he's just doing the best he can. I can see that with his skill set, with whatever it is, he's bringing what he needs to this conversation or whatever it is. And as far as the reflection's concerned,
Mhm.
I agree. I just think mostly it's unconscious. I know when my poor darling husband will, everybody's had this with a husband, with kids, with a
Kid.
boss. He'll literally just come in the door and I'll go, well, he's just walking like an idiot. Now, if the guy just come in, he's just walked in the door. He hasn't done a thing.
Just don't give him the link to this podcast, Diane.
He'll never know. He thinks I'm getting my nails done. He doesn't.
Okay.
So, I mean, but here, whatever mad I have from wherever is getting, this poor guy, he's just coming in, bodie-o-do, here I am. It's me. It's me.
Lorna, didn't I tell you she'd be a good guest?
But really, if we can just always ask, like you just said, Marianne, wait a minute, what's being reflected to me?
Yeah.
And sometimes in the moment, you're so in it, you can't get there. That's where the principles work out for me. And when I think of that fourth principle, remember, I never left the light of the all. I will sometimes imagine I am in a spotlight of love, teeming gold light. And whoever I'm in conflict with, I bring them into the light with me. Not to condone behavior, but to recognize the oneness.
Mm.
That is something that has been very helpful with the forgiveness process. Just recognizing while our personalities may have some conflict, especially if you're not to the point yet where you realize the reflection principle, recognizing that we're all one. And we all want the same things, even with, the political stuff that's going on, not just in the United States, all over the world.
Right.
We all just want to be safe. We want our kids safe. We have different opinions on how to do it, but we all want, Lorna, you said it, connection. We all want to have people that we love, causes that we love, communities we love to be part of. And we want to be loved.
Right. That's it.
That's it.
Absolutely right.
Let's go to Congress. Let's just get it done.
We just
Get it
solved
done.
the world problem.
Right
Well,
now.
there you go. All the world problems, if they would just listen to us.
Well, you're right. People are listening. People are listening, and it used to be, Marianne, I don't even know how long you and I've known each other, but it's been years. In the old days, I used to talk about being in the spiritual closet. You just
You know what?
In the spiritual closet. But
Okay.
now everybody's out, right? Everybody's out. You're seeing it all over the place. I was invited in the fall of 2020. I was supposed to go to New York to speak to a club, a group within the UN. They wanted to hear about the principles.
Wow.
Awesome.
I'm getting invited to association meetings. And they're saying, will you come talk about the Beloved principles? And I'm like, have you looked at the website? Do you know what you're asking me to do? And they do. So they understand that love in leadership is vital for us to move forward individually, for
That's
our
amazing.
businesses to move forward, our communities to move forward. We move forward in unity and love.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
And it's the
That's
only
true.
way we can move forward. Otherwise,
Only
we're
way.
just moving in a big chaotic mess. And I really feel, and I know Lorna does also, we really feel like this wave, that you had mentioned, Lorna, about, as we find that connection to the divine within us, and we reach out to somebody else and take their hand and help them find their connection, and then reach out to someone else. It's just, we give each other permission to stop fighting. We do that because people tell us we should. You should have war with that country. You should be disagreeing with that political statement. We don't believe that, do we? And I mean, it's so pervasive in our society. And yet, if we know we have differences, which we do, which brings the color to the world, it's just, And Diane, you bring color to the world, no doubt about
But Marianne, I just want to add, but when we talk about like the like grabbing someone's hand,
that.
like we don't have to be 100% in agreement on everything,
Oh, you're right.
but we are still moving forward together. And that's
Right.
what's important. And that just even that, when you talk about you just want to be loved, like holding someone's hand is very intimate, and it's intimate in so many ways. Marianne and I taught Marianne just wrote a blog on when she went scuba diving and she was scared to death to go down, and the instructor said, just hold my hand. And I did, and when she mentioned that, I remembered I did I used to, when I was in my younger days, would do like warrior dashes and insane things like that. And I remember, and I'm terrified of murky water. And I remember go at the James River and getting ready to walk in, and I'm like, I can't do it. I cannot. But there was no other way to get to the other side. And I had a friend that was with me, and she said, just hold my hand, we'll get through it. And I still went, you just like the feeling of that. It's so simple.
Oh, I got
That's
goosebumps. Seriously.
It's
got
so
it.
powerful.
Yes.
Everybody says that when we
Seriously.
talk.
And how
But
many years ago was that, Lorna? How many years ago was that?
That was probably 10 years ago.
So one act of kindness 10 years ago is giving me goosebumps right
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
That's how powerful love and compassion is. It is.
It is. And I think we make everything so complicated, but it doesn't have to be. And things are complicated. The world is very complicated.
Mhm.
We can't say it's not, but you just have to level set it. And like, we just have to start somewhere, but do it
Right.
together.
And
Right.
individually, together. I think that's
Yep.
exactly it. And when I think of people who made huge shifts in societies, I'm thinking of people like Mother Teresa,
Mhm.
Nelson Mandela,
Gandhi.
Gandhi, Martin Luther King.
Mhm.
What did they teach? Peace.
Love, peace, joy.
And they modeled and service, and they modeled it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief. Who would have ever thought Nelson Mandela, first of all, would ever get out of prison? Ever.
Right.
Right.
Never, ever. And then to be the respected world leader.
Yeah.
And he just admitted peace.
That's what they say, actually. That's what they say.
When I picture him, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Just love, peace, presence, that presence of love, that presence of peace.
Yeah.
And it's so little. I remember, it takes these little tiny things. I remember hearing a story about Mother Teresa, who was on a plane, and this was back in the days when they brought you dinner and everything. And they tried to serve her dinner, and she said, I would really prefer that you donate that to the hungry in your city. And every single person did the same thing.
Wow.
From her modeling that. And here I am. She's been dead, since the 90s, and I'm still telling that story because it's so impactful.
Yeah.
Just that one act.
That ripple effect.
That goes on for generations.
But that is, I think that's, we go through our lives and we don't think about like those little things that we do. I don't know if either one of you ever read the book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And, I always
Isn't that with, what's his name? Mitch Albom?
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole premise of like before I read the book, you think when I go to heaven, I'm going to see like the people that were the most important to me. Yeah. And it was, when you read the book, and it was like the people that he met were people that he didn't even remember because he had done something so little that had such an impact, and he was so important and a pivotal person in their life. He didn't even know. He had no idea. And I think that's something that we should remember is as we walk through our life, we don't have any idea how our actions, our words are impacting people, because they are.
Sharing that, Lorna, because I think that's a really good point.
It's such a good point. In the Course in Miracles, it says every act of love is maximal. I'm still going to tear up about that lady holding your hand. I mean, great. You're gonna tell that story for the rest of your life. How
No,
many?
and it's funny, I
people-
hadn't even remembered it until Marianne talked about that scuba diving, and I was like, I remember how terrified I was. And I can still feel it. I can still feel when she took my hand, and I wasn't scared. I mean, before I was like, there's a snake under there. I'm gonna hit a rock. I had no idea. I have no idea what I'm walking into.
Yeah.
I was perfectly fine till we got to the end.
Yeah, it's tangible. It's a tangible feeling that your stress just that somebody's just in it with you
That's it.
and you can trust them.
I mean, I have a girlfriend, we travel once a year, and she's terrified of flying. And there are 4 of us that travel together, and she and I always get our seat together. And I remember the first time we were on that plane, and she leaned over and she said, "Can you just hold my hand?" And like now, as soon as we get on the airplane, the plane has started to take off, and I grab her hand. We don't even talk about it anymore.
That's so
But
sweet.
it's so powerful. It's just powerful.
Those are some powerful suggestions. And Diane, you have created or downloaded or received, however you want to phrase that, but you have given us these 4
Yes.
principles of love that are simple but not easy, and yet they change the world. So
Mhm.
here's my question for you, is because I know this might be a tough one because I'm hitting you with it without telling you, but
Thanks in advance.
no problem. Yeah, yeah. Love me. And but honestly, our audience is kind of sitting there now with the chills of the stories about simple acts of love and connection and so forth. And so what I want to ask you is, we always like to leave them with a step to take to move closer to this ideal that we're talking about and how important it is. And if you were to give the audience a step that they could take today to we always like to say it within 24 hours, like do it
Yeah.
now or you'll forget or you'll get busy. What could they do now, today, to move them closer to that?
I would invite them to go into the bathroom, look in their own eyes, put their hand on their own heart, and ask, how can I greet myself with an open heart without an agenda? How can I see my own divine essence? Because we know it starts here.
Yes.
If your world is reflective, then the more you love, connect to that inner divine, the more you're going to see it everywhere. And that's how those sparks fly, Lorna. That's
Yeah.
sparks. That's the sparks.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to end. Thank you so much for joining us, Diane.
Oh,
It was
this is
wonderful.
Let's go ride that tsunami. Come on.
Woohoo, let's do
Is
it.
that not a great image?
Love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And thank our audience. We thank you for joining us today. And Diane, give them a way they can find more out about you, the name of your website.
You can actually go to More From Diane, and that's Diane with one N, Diane, morefromdiane.com, and you'll find links to social media. There's a Be Love song you can listen to that'll have my the Be Love Principles website and everything on there, including free resources for you if you'd like to take it a step further.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.